you can decide to put it in or not. And sometimes you have to clearly define your market scope and the industry scope. So for example here, I will not put the coffee powder, like the Nestle coffee here. And I will not put the capsule coffee in my competitor list. Why? Because the behavior here, the consumer behavior toward these two products are pretty different from the fresh coffee. Okay, so I will not put them in. Okay, so when you define the competition within the same competitors, you have to know the exact competitor list you have. So that is the first thing. And the second thing, when you have the competitor list, you can start to calculate the seller concentration. All right, you can start to calculate the seller concentration. So for example, you put a convenience store into your competitor list. Then you know convenience stores, the total number of the convenience store will affect your concentration ratio. Think about that. How many convenience stores in Taiwan? How many? Do you have any idea? How many? 台湾的那个 7-Eleven 跟全家有多少家 ？The total number? Wow, over 10,000, over 11,000, yeah, over 10,000 convenience store in Taiwan. But think about it. If you put a convenience store into the competitor list, then you see the concentration ratio will be very high, right? Because there are so many convenience stores in Taiwan. But not all convenience stores offer plenty seats. So probably just 30 or 40. Okay, so you have the 10,000 convenience stores in Taiwan, and 30% of them have the seats to let the customer have the in-store drinks and eat. So we know that at least you have 3,000 stores that can direct compete with the coffee chain. So in this situation, we see the concentration ratio calculation will change, right? Depends on your competitor list. Okay, so that is the first thing you should pay attention to. And if you find your seller and you calculate the concentration ratio, the next thing is the future trend. Will you see the concentration ratio increasing or decline? Wow, that is very important insights you should get from the analysis. Probably you see, yeah, that will we will see very high concentration ratio in the next few years. Why? Because the overall operation costs are increasing, like rents, brand promotion. You have to do a lot of promotion, and you have to do aggressive marketing campaigns to attract the customers. So all of these need capital, and for smaller brands or the individual stores, they don't have this capital to maintain their position in the market. So we will see that the coffee chain will increasing. It will still increase their total numbers of stores, and the others might decline. So the concentration ratio probably will become higher in the next few years. Okay, so it's just a prediction. We not yet put real numbers and models here. We just make a quick guess. 所以我们这边只是很快猜一下而已。Also, you need to see the future trend, right? For example, the rate of the industry growth. What's the overall growth in the past few years, and how about the future, right? In the next few years, how about the overall growth rate? And you need data, in the past. If you want to know the historical data, you can go to the database. You can check this survey. For example, here, I use Statista. Show you here. I use Statista. That is one of the best consumer database. So for B-School students, yeah, you can try this. And some of their data need you to pay to get the data. And if you are a subscriber, you can use all this information. So for example, here, okay, let's check this data. Okay, so that is the total coffee consumption volume in Taiwan from 2014 to 2019. Okay, so here's the trend, and we see that it's still growing. Just 2 years between, I think, between 2017 to 2018, a little bit lower. But after that, we see the market goes to the market still grows. So we need some data to let us know the trend. Okay, and let's go back. All right. And we also have to check several factors. For example, is there any significant cost differences among firms? Yeah, actually there are significant costs among different firms. So, for example, Starbucks. You know, real estate companies, they like Starbucks. Do you know why? These real estate companies, they truly love Starbucks. They would like to give Starbucks very low rent.
Maybe because a Starbucks coffee nearby increases the value of a property.
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay, so in the whole world, you will see real estate companies, they welcome Starbucks. They invite Starbucks to set up the store in the building. Okay, so they usually Starbucks usually can get pretty low rents compared to other brands. Okay, so we see that the leading brands like Starbucks, they have the advantages. So their total operation cost will be lower. That is very important, you know, because the rent counts a big part of the total cost. All right. So significant cost differences among yes, especially when we know the rents account a big part of the total cost. Excess capacity. Okay, is there excess capacity in this industry? I mean, the coffee chain. Do we see the excess capacity? They supply too much, and the demand is not very high. So that is the overcapacity, right? So is there any excess capacity in this industry? Yeah, my idea is yes. Actually, there is excess capacity. We can see some coffee chain have the empty seats in some time slots. The occupation rate is not very high. The turnover rate is not very high. So we see, probably they offer too much space to customers, and the utilization rate is not very high. But that is probably not very important, you know. When we say that an industry with the high excess capacity, we predict this industry will face price war later. Why? Because we have the asset capacity. We want to utilize our asset capacity. And how to do that? The best way is to cut our product price to attract a customer to buy more. So if the industry has the asset capacity, later we will see the price war. But in the coffee chain business, no, we don't see very strong, very significant price war signals. So that is the reason I say that probably that is not very important. People go to the buy coffee not because of price. Okay, they have many purposes to buy the coffee. For example, social purposes. You know, that is one reason you go to the coffee shop. And this is a very important part I want to show you. Cost structure. Okay, let us zoom in. Check this. Cost structure. It's too small. We just Google cost structure of coffee. All right. You can easily find this data from Google search or the cost of the coffee. We don't use the structure here. Okay, you can see many analysts will calculate the cost structure. Okay, and that is the source I use. Okay, let's zoom in. you have to know the cost structure, and the cost structure will affect the competition a lot. Okay, so maybe it's in F11. Okay, all right. Is the cost structure give you a big surprise? 你觉得有任何那个让你觉得很惊讶的吗 ？Anything showed here make you feel surprised? Anything here? Okay, let's first check the coffee. Check this. Okay, where?
I thought that the profit margin is higher.
Oh, okay.
Than just 10%.
Oh, okay. But actually, the cost margin here is, where is the cost margin? Cost margin indeed very high. Let's see, where is the cost margin? Cost margin 2.5 divided coffee cost 2.5. Yeah, we have to calculate. 2.5 deduct 0.38, 0.63. Yeah, later we can calculate. I know that the net margin should be around 40 to 50, I think. 40 to 50 or more. Okay, so first we check the cost, right? That is in British. So here, the first thing you check is the coffee. We know coffee made by coffee beans, right? So how important the coffee bean to the overall cost structure. And we see that it only 0.1. Wow, that is not very big, right? It's a very small proportion. Actually less than 3% of the total cost of a cup of coffee. So it's pretty low. It's pretty low. Alright, what are others? Okay, napkins, even the napkins accounts more than coffee beans. Milk, pretty similar, pretty close, right? 0.1. And the profit, oh here, yeah, we have the profit, I'm sorry for that. Yeah, we have the profit. Profit here is 0.25. So we know that the overall profit margin is how much? Let's calculate. Oh, 10%. Oh, pretty low. Yeah, it's much lower than I expected to. Okay, it should be higher. Alright, but anyway, that is a typical cost structure in British. Probably in other countries that will be higher. Let's go back to the other facts. For example, staff. Wow, that is a big part. And the rent. Okay, in Taiwan, I think our profit margin is much higher. The rent, the rent will not account such a big part of the cost. So here in British, wow, that is pretty expensive, 0.88. So when we check this cost structure, we have the idea that how the firms will compete in this industry. So we go back to the go back to here. Okay. The question is the cost structure of the first sensitivity of the cost to capacity utilization. That is not the manufacturing business, so there is no so-called cost, the so-called capacity utilization. But we know that we have to get to the cost structure to understand how firms here compete. And we know that because the rents accounts a big part of the total cost. So if the coffee chain want to successfully survive, they must have the very smart way to deal with the rent. And that is how Starbucks success in many countries. They know how to control the overall cost, overall rents in different countries. People love it, and the real estate company love it. So they will invite them to set up the store there. Okay, and there are other things we have to check. Product differentiation. Do we see very high product differentiation? Not much. Pretty low. And the brand loyalty to sellers. Yeah, we know that some brands they have very high brand loyalty, like the Starbucks, right? And we have the Starbucks fans. But you know, I never heard Mr. Brown fans. Do you know Mr. Brown? That is a Taiwan brand. Let me show you Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown coffee. Okay. Yeah, this guy is Mr. Brown. Do you see this guy? All right, this is Mr. Brown, and they have the coffee trend too in Taiwan. Okay, so we know that in some competitors, they have a very high brand awareness, and they can get the customer loyalty. How do they do that? Why they have the brand loyalty? 为什么他们可以让那个顾客长久喜欢它 ？People love it. Why? Do we have the Starbucks fans here? Any fans here? 有吗 ？No, really? You don't drink Starbucks? Wow, that is very different from my prediction. You know, I think many students should consume the Starbucks. In United States, office people and you know, students are the major customers of the Starbucks. So no fans here? Really? 真的吗？都没有人吗 Okay, yeah, we have. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. So why you love Starbucks? Do you use their app?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'm also the member of Starbucks.
Oh, okay. You are a member of the Starbucks, and do you have the reward points?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Always.
Yeah. So, do you think the reward points are very important reason you stay with the Starbucks?
Yes.
Okay. Why?
I think sometimes I can get some program.
Oh, you can get a discounts, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes you can buy one get one free, right? So you can get a lot of benefits when you join their membership program, right? Yeah. So we can see that Starbucks, they have the very good membership system, and they let their members keep following them. So we know that some brands that have a very high brand loyalty, but others not. Okay, others not. So we know the competition among these competitors are not even, right? Some are very strong and some are pretty weak. And the cross-price electricity is very low, right? Buy cost of switching from one competitor to another is very low, right? Starbucks fans is very special. They stick with the Starbucks because the membership system, the rewarding system. Okay, and there are other things you have to check. For example, price and the terms of the sales transaction observable, yes. And the confirms adjust the price quickly, yes. And the large and infrequent sales orders, no. Facilitating price practice, possible. I don't have evidence, but they probably have some facilitating practice. The facilitating practice, just like the case I showed you 2 weeks ago. There are two oil station brands in Taiwan, right? CPC and FPCC. There are two big oil station brands in Taiwan, and they have so-called facilitating practice. How do you let one leading company announce the price first, and the other company follows? So by this way, they can control the market price easily. And in coffee industry, do they have so-called facilitating practice? Probably yes. Probably yes. You know, Starbucks set a price, and the others just you know, see Starbucks price as the ceiling, and the others probably set their price a little bit lower than Starbucks. And 7-Eleven, they have their price range, and Family Mart just follow, right? So probably they have some facilitating price practice, but we don't have the evidence. History of the cooperative pricing, you know, it means that in the past, do they have some facilitating practice to control the price? I remember, yes, they have the association to, you know, set a price. Strength of the exit barriers is not very high, and the high industry price elasticity of the demand, no, there is not a very high price elasticity of the demand. Okay, so overall speaking, after you check all this, you want to know whether the competition among these players strong or weak. Okay, so after evaluate all these things, how do you think? Do you think the competition here very strong or pretty weak? Or medium, you have the strong, medium, and the weak. After you check these items, how do you think? 你们觉得呢？这个行业竞争是激烈还是不激烈？ Probably medium to high, right? Depends on the brands you study. So for Starbucks, they have a very strong competitive advantages. Others, they face very strong competition, right? So for example, Mr. Brown Coffee. Check this guy. Check this gentleman, Mr. Brown. Where is my Mr. Brown? Okay, my Mr. Brown. Check this gentleman, Mr. Brown. Okay, this guy, he faced very strong competition, right? This brand, they have to. Oh no, I should not show that. I should show you their store. Okay, they have the stores. They have the stores, like this. Okay, that's their stores. So they not only sell in the canned coffee, they also have the coffee chain. Right. So we know that for some smaller brands like Mr. Brown Coffee, they have to face strong competition. If the Starbucks cut the price, they definitely will hurt Mr. Brown's business. And if 7-Eleven and the Mart increasing the type of store with the apprentices, that definitely will affect Mr. Brown too. Okay, so we know that some brands, they will face very high competitive pressure, and some are not, especially these big leading brands, they are not. Alright, so after checking this, you give it a conclusion. Okay, you must have the conclusion after you analyzing all of this. And of course, you have to check others like entry barrier. Okay, entry barrier. You want to know whether this industry has some entry barrier. Economies of scale. Obviously, there is no significant economy of scale. Milk, coffee beans. No, these are not. You don't need to. You have plenty choices, and there is no significant economy of scale. Some material, yes, but not all. Not all materials have the economy of scale. Okay, store decoration, maybe, yes. Okay, if you want to decorate all your stores, you need many stores to spread the cost of the decoration cost. So yeah, maybe store decoration can have the economy of scale. What else? Okay, you just check each of them. Okay. Technology know-how, entrance easily enter this industry. Okay, so after you check all these items, and you will find that the entry barrier is not very high. Many companies can easily enter this industry. So for example, the upstream suppliers, if they want, they can easily jump into the coffee chain business, right? And the buyers, some buyers, they have a very, very good coffee know-how, and if they want to go to set up the store by themselves, that is not easy. That is not difficult. So we see that the entry barrier is not very high, and we will see many competitors will flood into the industry, especially when we predict the industry growth is positive. So we will say that the competition among the same players is around the medium to high level, and the entry barrier is not very high. So overall speaking, the profit margin probably will decrease in the next few years. Okay. And how about alternatives? Okay, we just check how about the other alternatives. Just like I said, I will put the functional drinks here. And upstream suppliers. Okay, is the supply industry more concentrated than the industry it sells to? The answer is not. Okay, so for example, the coffee beans, the upstream concentration rate is not very high. Actually, not very high. And others, you will see that labor, or we have plenty labor supply. And yeah, some good location. Probably you have the problem to get a good location, especially in downtown. It's not easy to get a good location. So we see that probably the location is the biggest threat to coffee chain stores. How do they get this cheap location? Is the key success factor of the chain business. All right, and what else? Buyer. Okay, so we check the buyer too. Buyer more concentrated than the industry itself too. No, it's very dispersed market. And but we know buyers can find substitute easily. They can switch easily. Okay. Okay, so overall speaking, we can see that the buyer bargaining power is pretty strong. They don't have a strong brand loyalty to specific brand, except Starbucks, right? So when we examine these 5 forces, go back here. When we examine the 5 forces, we know that the competition in this industry is very high, especially for the coffee chain. These 5 forces might depress the overall profits of the incumbents. So that is the trouble they will face in the next few years. Okay, so I just use this checklist to let you know how to make the 5 forces analysis in a complete way. Okay. Alright, and you can find this template from the UMU. Okay, there is a template for doing a 5 forces analysis. Okay, and one thing I want to highlight is this template is just for your initial assessment. Here, we don't put facts and evidence into the analysis. We just quickly analyze the things we know. If you want to do very decent analysis, you have to collect data. For example, the industry growth rate, you must have the data. Comparative analysis, you have to know the market share of different types of the competitors, right? So if you want to do a complete analysis, you have to collect more data to support your arguments. Here, we just do a very quick assessment. All right. And finally, here, define the industry. Last week, I find that it's very challenging for many students to define the industry. So I write down the process I usually use to help me define the industry. Okay, so there are 5 steps. After the earlier analysis, you will know define the customer needs or the market needs is the most important step. So my step here just tell you the most important thing is to determine the market demand. Okay, so you have to define the market demand first. We know we are starting the coffee chain, but what kind of the market demand the coffee chain try to satisfy? We have to define it first. After we define that, we can define the seller list or the competitors list. So we have this competitor list. With the competitor list, you can easily to define the substitutes. Okay, so that is the first one and step 1 and step 2. And step 3. Sometimes we find some sellers that use different technology to satisfy customer needs. For example, Red Bull. Okay, Red Bull. Yeah, we know that it can make it will let you feel better after you drink the Red Bull. I don't know how you feel, but I don't like the Red Bull. It makes me too high. That will make too high, so I don't drink Red Bull too much. But we know that is a good substitute. And the way to make the Red Bull is very different of that making coffee. So it will not be the direct competitor to the coffee, but it can be a very good substitute. So we will classify sellers according to their technology. Those sellers use different technology can be the substitute. All right, that is step 3. And step 4. Later we want to know. Later we want to expand our analysis. We will see some competitors. We will see the major competitors might serve multi-markets. And finally, we will confirm the final seller list. Okay, so the only thing I want to highlight is the step 4 here. And that is to confirm which market the group of the seller to be studied can serve. Alright, so let me give you this case. Okay. affordable car. Affordable car. Yeah, what are the car list I put here? Okay. See, you want to study this industry. You want to study the affordable car industry. Okay. So the first thing is to identify the demands or the needs. Okay. You have to define who will buy affordable cars and what are the specific needs the affordable car makers try to fulfill. So that is always the first step. So who will buy the affordable car? We can use the household income. As an indicator to define the customer segments. Okay, so for example, in Taiwan, your household income between 1 million to 1.5 million are usually the buyers will choose affordable cars. Okay, so that is the customer segments first we define. And we know that family buyers, they choose the car based on some criteria. The criteria, for example, price. What else? Yeah, space, efficiency, fuel efficiency, and others. All right. So here, that is the market demand we find. Okay. That is our start point. We know that we want to study this market or this industry, but we have to know what kind of the market need these players try to fulfill. Okay, so here is the market need we defined. So that is the first step. And the second step is, yeah, we know that we studied this market in Taiwan. Okay, so we put here Taiwan. Okay, we studied Taiwan's affordable car industry, and we know that here Taiwanese people and their household income between 1 million to 1.5 million will choose the affordable car, and they make their choice based on this criteria: price, space, fuel efficiency, and others. Okay, that is the first and the second step. And then we know that there are several brands can do that, right? For example, Ford, Toyota, Volkswagen, and others. Yeah, other brands. So that is the second step. And then we go to the third step. Okay, we identify their technology they use, and we know that these firms use the similar technologies, right? They have the very similar assembly process. They also use the same engine technology. So we can see that there are no special players here. But you know, if one day Tesla cut their cost to let middle class level easily afford their car, yeah, probably Tesla will put into our competitors. But we know Tesla's technology is very different from the other competitors. So we probably will put a Tesla as the substitute instead of the direct competitors. Okay, here I will not put Tesla into our competitors because they are not target, the household income between 1 million to 1.5 million buyers. Okay, and number 4, that is very important. Okay, so we see these brands, these automotive makers, they majorly define their market based on these criteria, right? They serve this market. But we know, actually, these sellers, they can easily serve the high-end market. So, for example, here, we know Toyota. Here's the high-end market. We know Toyota, they have the high-end brand, like they have the Camry, okay. They have the Camry. So Camry series usually offer bigger space, better interior, and high technologies. it will make you feel better if you drive the Camry compared to you drive the Altis, right? So Toyota, they have the Camry, and they also have the luxury brand Lexus, right? And how about Volkswagen? Yeah, they also have their high-end brands. The high-end brands, it's not Arteon, okay? Arteon here. And the Ford, okay? They have the Mondeo. Alright, so we know that these brands, they initially satisfied the needs of the middle class, right? They satisfy this market. But we know that these brands also can easily switch their product lines to serve the high-end market. And they exactly use the same process, right? Manufacturing process and almost 80% similar components to make the high-end cars. Volkswagen, let's take Volkswagen as an example. Volkswagen, they have so-called platform strategy. So you can check Volkswagen, VM, their platform strategy. Okay, and then we check this. Oh, so we should use the VW, sorry, not the VM. Volkswagen, check this. Okay, so, oh, why this photo so ugly? Let me find a better one. Ah, this one is good. This one is good. Okay, so you see that Volkswagen, they design common use platform like this. And this platform can be used in multi-models. For example, here we can see you have Audi. Okay, Audi is the premier brand, right? It's the high-end brand. And you can see the platform can also use in the Volkswagen cars. There should be a photo show you. Okay. Okay, this one is better to explain Volkswagen strategy. Oh, what happened? Okay, yeah, it will be better. Yeah, so you can check this. Volkswagen Group tried to leverage the existing components and the platform. So they can leverage their platform to manufacture different types of the cars, and they can cross different brand labels. So Audi's and Volkswagen cars, they share the same platform and components. So by this way, they can reduce their overall operation cost. And also they will make their production system much simpler. Okay, so here we always can see these brands that have the motivation to serve the multi-markets, right? With the same production process. So in this analysis, when we want to understand the competition among the affordable cars, we a little bit expand our analysis scope. We know that actually those brands who compete in the affordable car segment also compete in the high-end market. Okay, so when we do this analysis, they will look like this. Volkswagen, Ford, Toyota. Okay, so we see that the same group of the competitors serve two different markets simultaneously. Alright, initially our target is the affordable car, but we know that the same group of competitors, they also can serve the luxury car segment, right? So that will make our analysis much much broad, right? Initially, we just focus this, so we just try to know how do they compete. But actually, they will compete in the another market, use the same technology. So we see that we can a little bit broaden our analytic scope. We now try to let the analysis more meaningful. So we will say that we are starting we are starting the competition in the automotive car industry instead of just an affordable car industry, right? Why? Because it's just a part of the market these competitors can serve. Actually, they can serve markets, right? So that's the reason we say that to focus on the affordable car market probably is too narrow. We want to expand a little bit, okay? We know that these firms serve multi-market, so we put a bigger scope to analyze this industry. So that's the reason you usually will see analysts will say that we are analyzing the automotive industry. And in this industry, we try to know the competition in the affordable segment and the luxury segments. All right. So you redefine the analytic scope of your study, and that always happen. You know, because for the analyst, you try to know that what's the biggest value the industry can create, right? And exactly here we see these firms, they serve the different market, and both market can create value for them. So the industry scope now is a little bit bigger. Okay, so that is the way we do the industry definition. 好，所以这边的话，只让各位理解一下，就是，go back here. Where is my notes? Where's my notes? Okay, here. Here, I just want to highlight a very important thing. Initially, that is your starting point, right? That is your starting point. And you know that these start points help you to define the market. And later, after you examine the competitors list and the market they can serve with the same technology, you probably will change your analytic scope. And your analytic scope can give you a richer information and insights. So that's the reason I have to give you this list and my process. I believe that will give you a whole new idea of the industry definition. So far, any question? Or that made you confused? A little bit, right? Okay. I just want you to know that the definition of the industry sometimes will become bigger after you analyze this group of the competitors. Okay? Yeah. So if you don't have any questions, I think I can end this part. And if you want to check details, just check these documents. Okay, just check this document, define an industry. I hope this introduction can give you an idea of the industry definition. From the market demand first, later you check the suppliers, and we try to know what the market the suppliers can define, and later we finalize our competition landscape and industry scope. Okay. Yep. So if you don't have a question, we take a 10 minutes break, and later we want to check the case on the factory. Right? Let's take a break. 我们休息一下吧，休息10分钟。Yep. Any question?
I get a question.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit confused. I'm not sure. Do we write an exam here?
Oh, we don't have the exam.
Okay. Is it a midterm project or only the final project?
Just a final project. And the midterm, you just let me know the topic you want to study. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. 把它放在哪里嘞 ？OK。TikTok, trust.
Klebstoff hinter da reinkommt.
Okay. Yeah, I summarize the steps I usually use to define the industry. So you see that eventually the industry scope is broadened, right? We have the bigger industry scope, and why it happened? That is the process. The first you start points, and you just focus on very segmented market. That is affordable car, and based on this market segment and the needs, you define the competitor list, right? And later, you examine the market these competitors can serve. And we find that, whoa, actually this competitor, they can serve multi-markets, right? They can serve the affordable car market and also a luxury car market, just using the same production services, production facilities, right? So we know now these competitors, they can simultaneously serve the same industry with the same technology. So we later try to redefine our industry scope. Now we don't use very narrow defined industry scope. Now we use the bigger industry scope. We studied the overall automotive industry instead of affordable car industry, right? Why? Because in this industry, actually these competitors, they will compete with each other in both markets, right? They will face each other. They have to compete with each other. So we will see that if you use the bigger and broader definition of the industry, you will see much deeper insight. So here we can see that Toyota, Ford, Volkswagen, they compete with each other in the affordable market by introducing, very simple cars and safety cars, and in the luxury segments, they try to use the new look and more electric devices or functions to attract luxury segment buyers. Okay, so we see that actually these firms will compete with each other in both markets. Okay, so that is the process I use. And sometimes you will find that if there is no multi-market issues, you just define your industry scope in a narrow, your initial narrow definition. So think about that. If we see these brands, they compete in the luxury car industry using totally different production facilities and processes, we will not view them compete with each other. So we will say that, yeah, indeed, they will compete in affordable car segments, but they will not compete in the luxury car segments because they totally use different technologies. Okay, so sometimes it will happen, we will define our industry scope bigger, but sometimes if you find a multi-market issue do not exist, you just use a very narrow defined scope. Okay, just give you an advanced idea of the industry definition. And the next one is this. We go back to the 5 forces framework, and there are 3 things I want to highlight. When we do this, our focus is about the overall profits of the existing players, right? Can they make high profits? And we will examine their competitive behaviors and examine their individual competitive advantages. So we know that some firms here can make high profits because they have some advantages, like they know how to do the product differentiation. They have, they know how to build the brand awareness, or they have a very innovative technologies. So we see firms here, they will try to differentiate themselves to make higher profits. If all these firms do the same thing in the same market, they can make profits, right? So the first thing is to examine the behavior in competitors' behavior in the industry first. And later we know that those things explains firms' profits, also explains the entry barrier. So for example, we know if these firms, they make high profits because they all care about the innovation. Later we will know the innovation will be the entry barrier that block the future entrance. So when we talk about competition within these firms, later we examine those things these firms compete for can they be the barrier to block the entrance? So that is, you have to simultaneously consider the factors that make the competitors make profits and make the entry barriers. So 1 and 2, you simultaneously consider the profit, the factor that make profits and the factor that become the entry barrier. And later, we will check the firm boundary. Okay, if you face very strong pressure from your suppliers or buyers, would you like to, integrate your suppliers or buyers? Sometimes the best way to decrease the pressure from the suppliers is to acquire your upstream suppliers. So you eliminate your suppliers, you become the suppliers, so you will not be controlled by your upstreams. So the next thing we usually examine is about the firm's boundary. Should we acquire some economic activities along our value chain, or actually we just focus on what we are good at? All right. So later the case we'll talk about the integration. Okay, or we sometimes call it the firm boundary issue. And I try to let you know the first one and the second one. The first one is about the way, the factors that can make the firms profitable in the industry. The first, usually firms will try to use their technology to differentiate each other. Technology is the best thing they can do. So for example, this video.
China has sent people to space. It's built infrastructure at record speed and has been the biggest producer of the world's goods for the last 6 years. But there's one thing it's always struggled to make: the ballpoint pen. Or to be more precise, the tiny ball casing in the tip. First, let's take a look at why the mechanism is so hard to make. When writing with a ballpoint pen, the ball turns and the ink rolls out. It's kept in place by a socket separating the ink reservoir and the paper. The ball needs to move freely, which means the room between the ball and the socket needs to be perfect. Too tight and the pen will be difficult. Too loose and the ink leaks or the ball falls out. The ball is normally made from high-grade stainless steel that's resistant to wear caused by continuous writing on surfaces. This is where China has fallen short in the past. The quality of its steel was not good enough. For decades, this technology has only been mastered by Japan and a handful of other countries in Europe. China, while making almost 40 billion ballpoint pens a year, has been importing most of the sockets. But that may no longer be the case. After 5 years of trial and error, one of the country's biggest stainless steel makers is claiming it has solved the problem. It's worked out the appropriate mix of alloys for high-grade steel and how to shape it into a 2.3mm wide socket housing the balls. In a meeting in early 2016, Chinese Premier Li Keqiang pointed out that despite producing more than half of the world's crude iron and steel, China still heavily relied on imports for the high-grade steel. So Beijing has been trying to transform the steel manufacturing industry from low-end to focus more on innovation. China's breakthrough in ballpoint pens may seem insignificant compared to bridges and rockets, but it hopes it could be a step into precision engineering.
Okay, so that is the power of the technology. We know from the video, only Japan and some Europe countries have the technology to produce precise ball and the socket, right? So that is the barrier they built. That is a technology barrier. So they own these technologies and let them make profits, and also it becomes a barrier, right? So the future, the entrants cannot easily enter this industry. In this video, they claim a Chinese manufacturer claim they solved the technology issues. But so far I know that's not real. That's not real. And probably they have to spend around 3 to 5 years to solve the mass production issue. Now that indeed they have the technology, they solve some issues in the laboratory, but they not yet have the solution for the mass production. So there's still a gap. And from this, you can see that R&D or the technology can be the barrier. And these technology not only become the barrier, and also it become the ways the competitors make the profits. Okay, so it's just let you have the idea about the power of the technology that can make the profits. Okay, and another way to differentiate competitors is marketing. Okay, I like this video. Let me show you.
I believe creativity is key in modern marketing. Just imagine Burger King, right? I mean, we are in a very competitive market. We are not the biggest spender. There are people out there that are bigger than we are. So creativity to us is a source of competitive advantage. It's the way I'll be able to gain market share, expand the brand, and grow. Because if I can only compete on the budget, on the money, there are people out there that have like bigger wallets than our wallet. So creativity is the key to accomplish those things. That's why most of the projects, if not all the projects that we push forward, they have like a high degree of creative ambition. We're always trying to innovate, we're always trying to do things differently, whether it's on TV, mobile, digital, social media, PR. If it's not creative, if it's not different, probably it's not going to work so well for us. When we look at the work that we're doing, the things that get us the most proud of, they're not ads. They're not like the classic definition of an ad that interrupts you and then just like pushing a message on your face. We are designing a brand that's much more cohesive, consistent, engaging, nicer looking, how we're creating spaces that foster a better experience. I mean, if you go to a restaurant and the experience is not great, the design is not great, people are not coming back. We have been investing a lot behind technology. I mean, I think all brands are doing that, but we are like really going for it. It's one of our strategic priorities. So we have like a very strong tech team that we continue to build. And technology for us is technology to improve guest service, or to improve like the service that we provide to people, and to better communicate to our fans and to our consumers.
Okay. So you see that first not only use technology to differentiate themselves, but also use the marketing campaign to reshape the customers' awareness and their recognition. So just like the Burger King, the case he mentioned, they have to use the creativity to attract their customers. You know, the products across different brands are not very different, right? So they usually deliver the similar quality, and you know, the function is the same, right? Just a video that let you just feed your customers. So the product per se probably not very different. Okay, the function in terms of the function, and so how do these fast food restaurants compete with each other and differentiate themselves? Yeah, marketing is a way to do that, right? And yeah, I like the commercial. Let me show you. 肯德基猛男。Oh, okay. I like this. Oh, I truly like this. Do you know this? Do you know this commercial? Okay.
I hear you're the best mom in the world. Well, what do you think, boys?
I love this commercial.
You're a real special dude.
Happy Mother's Day!
Okay. Do you know this commercial? No, right? Okay. So you see that because in fast food industry, the competition is fierce, and these brands that have to find a way to differentiate themselves and to make their customer feel special, right? And in the past few years, they lost their young generation customers. They believe this brand is too old, is out of fashion. So young generation usually will not go to their stores. So they try to renew their image, and that is their experience. And it looks like very successful, honestly, in United States. Okay, and you can check. Okay. And the video you just watched, okay, the video you just watched, that is not a real person, you know. That is not a real guy. They use the AI to make this. Okay, so all the things you watch in the commercial is made by computer. It's not a real. Okay, it's not real. And this investment for them is not very high, but they achieve very high success. And that help them to protect their market share in United States. Okay, so they'll just give you a case, a very interesting case, right? Okay, so the commercial marketing or the commercial is also the way to let the firms gain competitive advantages and make profits. And they also also establish a barrier to stop the future entrants. So think about that. If you want to enter into this industry and you don't have any innovation or good creativity, you probably cannot win the current competitors, right? So that will let the new entrants be hesitated to go to this field. All right. So that is the second way they differentiate their products and make more profits. Okay. And oh, this part is a little bit difficult, so you have to pay attention to the contents that show in the video.
Over the past 20 years, we've gotten better and better at identifying whether a new technology will replace an old one, but incumbents still wait too long to adapt, while startups rush in too soon and exhaust their resources before the revolution even begins. The classic way to visualize a new technology replacing an old one is to chart performance over time. The point at which the new technology crosses paths with the old one is the moment when substitution occurs. In this scenario, the old technology has no room for improvement, and the new technology seamlessly and rapidly replaces it. An example of this would be new, energy-efficient light bulbs replacing old-fashioned ones, or 16GB flash drives replacing older 8GB versions. The choice is a no-brainer. Let's call this creative destruction. The reason we still struggle with the timing of substitution is because we must also consider the ecosystem of the technology. New light bulbs are plug and play. They fit in your existing socket with no additional changes. But many inventions require a massive shift in their ecosystem in order to catch on. HD TVs, for instance, are no good unless TV networks, cable companies, and media producers are also able to provide high-definition content. So this slowed down the HD TV revolution by decades. This shift is called the illusion of resilience. Old TV technology wasn't getting any better, but still held its ground for a long time, while HD TV technology waited for its ecosystem to catch up. There's also a third scenario to contend with. When there's room for improvement in either the existing technology or its existing ecosystem, that raises the bar across the board. In other words, the new technology, even if it is already compatible with the current ecosystem, has to meet or exceed higher standards of performance before it can take over. And that takes more time. This is called robust coexistence because the new and old technologies are competing against each other in the same market. You see this today with hybrid cars. The conversion is easy because they don't require charging stations like fully electric cars. But traditional gas engines are simultaneously becoming more efficient. The performance bar keeps getting higher and higher, and gas engines have yet to be completely replaced. So what happens when both the new technology is slowed down by its ecosystem and the old technology is improving its performance? This is called robust resilience, and it is the slowest form of substitution. For example, While hybrid and gasoline cars battle it out for the highest performance, fully electric cars are still dealing with the ecosystem changes necessary to make them mainstream. By the time there are enough charging stations and other systems in place for everyone to feel comfortable driving a fully electric car, the performance standards that these new cars must meet will also be incredibly high. To predict the timing of substitution, both startups and incumbents must pay attention to both their ecosystem and the old technology's potential to improve.
Okay, and a little bit of
their ecosystem and the old technology.
Okay, let's stop here. All right. There is a group of firms using the same technology to compete with each other, right? So once they build the entry barrier, the new entrants will face the difficulty to go into this field. So the only way, not the only way, but the best way to enter the industry is to use a whole new technology system. Okay, just like here, you just watch. If you can use the different technologies to enter the industry and simultaneously fulfill the same needs of the same customers, you probably can win. Okay, so we will see that here. Okay, just like the competition between the electric car and the traditional cars, you'll find that it's very difficult to compete with the existing automobile makers. For example, there is a brand in Taiwan named 那家叫什么？纳智捷，那个怎么拼啊？Luxgen. Okay, let me show you. Luxgen. Okay, Luxgen. Okay. All right. That is a local brand. Luxgen. That's a Taiwanese brand, and they launched their brand decade ago. I think a decade ago. So far, their monthly sales. Their monthly sold units is how many? 100, I think. Just 100 cars they sell per month. You see, that is pretty low, right? And they compete with the existing brand like the Toyota, Volkswagen, Ford. And when the Luxgen face these existing competitors, Luxgen do not have any competitive advantage, right? Think about that, the capacity, they don't have the economy of scale, technology, they don't have the best engines, and the transmission system, yeah, they have to rely on existing suppliers. So as a new brand, if they use the same production system and the technologies, they don't have the chance, or they have a very small chance to win. So if you want to go to the some market and you don't want to directly compete with the existing players, the thing you can do is to introduce the whole new technologies. So let's go back to the video. Where is the video? Okay, here. All right. So you'll find that the best way to compete is not following the existing rules, right? We have to build a new technology track. And this new technology track probably need a whole new ecosystem. For example, Tesla, they have to build their charging stations. And they have to build their battery factory, right? So that is the whole new things. And this type of the new facilities and equipment usually will not be the first priority of the traditional car makers. So Tesla, they have the chance to disrupt the existing players. Okay, so if you really want to break the existing players' advantages, yeah, you probably try to use the new technologies instead of following the existing rules. Of course, you use the new technology doesn't mean you will win, right? Sometimes you face very high risk. Tesla, they burn the money very fast because building the charging stations and build the battery-driven cars all require capital. And you know, if they can't quickly spread their charging station over the world, they probably have no chance to survive. So they have to make sure that they can invest their money and they can get another money and build the station and build the station very fast. Or they probably will face this situation, you know, they will delay the implementation of this new technology. And you know, if they wait too long, probably the capital providers, they will lose their patience. And then they just run application by, right? So, of course, adopting a new technology or introducing a new technology has some risk, but it probably is the way you can go to the existing market. All right. So that is the technology. And I suggest you to watch this video again, because in our later case study, we will use this idea. We will use this so-called double S-curve to understand the competition between the existing player and the new players. All right. And finally, let's see other barriers, other types of barriers existing players can build. For example, this one.
Have you heard of Andrew Yang?
TikTok, the increasingly popular social media app, has been getting more and more political. The platform's young users are taking to TikTok to express their political views, promote their favorite candidates, and even react to political news. But with 24 million active users in the US, experts are warning that the platform could be used to spread misinformation ahead of the 2020 election.
TikTok is just a platform. It looks like a fun video platform, but it is a platform for speech. And so that speech is going to take many forms. Video is hard to moderate because it's just a lot of information. It's not one picture, it's not one thing of text, it's visual and it's audio. And all of that is just really, really difficult and time-consuming and requires a lot of human labor.
So how exactly does TikTok work? The social network makes it extremely easy to create and share so-called video memes. Whoa. All you gotta do is pick an effect, record a video, add some music and some text. Voila! Your TikTok is out in the world. TikTok is known for its carefree and catchy content, and the company says its mission is to inspire creativity and bring joy. But some users say they've noticed that political videos get more attention than non-political videos, like this Trump dance post, which got more than 500,000 views.
For my Trump video, it did start a lot of argument or debate.
Many users say they're drawn to TikTok because it's easy to gain a large following, and content spreads rapidly.
You can post one video and instantly overnight viral.
It's given an insane and kind of unexpected opportunity to a lot of young people to kind of express their opinions.
Because TikTok videos can easily go viral, there's also the risk that users will wittingly or unwittingly share information that's false. And once it spreads, it can be really difficult to stop. For example, after President Trump was impeached by the House of Representatives, some users posted a false claim. They shared videos saying, the Constitution says a president impeached by the House but not convicted by the Senate is eligible to run for office 2 more times. But that paragraph in the video actually comes from the fact-checking website Snopes, which rates the claim as false. The video, which had tens of thousands of views, was removed by TikTok after the Wall Street Journal asked about it. And in a statement, TikTok said it does not permit misinformation that could cause harm to our community or the larger public. While this type of content is less common on TikTok than on other platforms, we take the issue seriously and remove deliberate attempts to misrepresent authoritative sources of news. But other videos are less clear-cut. For example, when the hashtag World War III gained popularity after the US took out Iranian General Qasem Soleimani, many users posted videos about the draft, which hasn't been active for nearly 4 decades. While TikTok doesn't allow misinformation, it makes exceptions for satire and humor, which is why so many of those videos remain online.
Of course, it was not yet in the draft. And so, like, the kind of over-the-top teenager videos of them saying that they don't want to be drafted or afraid of being drafted or kind of reacting to it. Is that them being political? Is that them joking? Or is that them being really serious? It's really hard to tell.
In 2016, misinformation and disinformation were spread on various social media platforms in various ways, including memes that appeared to be innocent. There's no evidence that coordinated misinformation campaigns are infiltrating TikTok, and the company says it remains vigilant. But with the 2020 race picking up steam and millions of TikTok videos being uploaded with political hashtags, experts warn that identifying and flagging problematic content could be a challenge for the relatively new platform.
TikTok's at the very nascent stages of doing this, and I think they have their work cut out for them because they just might not have the sheer number of people, let alone the rules in place, to kind of attack disinformation.
Okay. Yeah, so do you use TikTok? No, you can try it, especially our student from German friends. You can try TikTok here, and you know, you have to understand the market, right? Why people addict to TikTok? You have to know the reason. Okay, why I showed this video to you? Think about that. In United States, who will worry about TikTok? Who will worry about TikTok? I mean, those social medias. Who will worry about TikTok the most? Instagram and Snapchat, Facebook, right? Actually, these existing United States social platforms, they worry about the entrance of the TikTok. So you will see that the story behind this video is about the fears of the existing United States social platforms. And so far we know that Facebook, Instagram, actually they are the same company, right? Facebook, Snapchat, and the other social media companies lobby the governments to stop the entry of the TikTok. Like why? Because you know, people just flock to the TikTok to, you know, to distribute their videos. So when people go to the TikTok, it means advertisements will go to the TikTok too, right? You will see everyone just watch the video and watch the commercials on TikTok instead of the Instagram, Facebook, or Snapchat. Alright, so now today we see that Facebook, Snapchat, they aggressively lobbied United States governments to stop TikTok. And there are some good reasons. First one is misinformation, right? They just say like, yeah, they can't deal with the misinformation, and you know, some people will you know, use the TikTok platform to distribute to the hate and you know, many bad things across their platform. So that is the first thing they said. We should stop the TikTok. And the second thing they said is privacy. Privacy. You know, TikTok is developed by the Chinese company. Do you know that, right? And so Facebook said that Chinese companies, they have bad records. You know, they will leverage the privacy data. Actually, Facebook did the same thing, right? They didn't protect people's privacy very well. Anyway, they just said that TikTok, they probably will use United States citizens' data to do, you know, some bad things. Okay, although they don't explicitly say what is the bad thing, but we know. Yeah.
I heard that end of last year, when the whole thing escalated a bit in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
With the protests.
Yeah.
That TikTok started to ban the videos of people who have been imprisoned there.
Yeah, right. This is true. That's true because that app owned by Chinese company, right? So you know, Chinese government usually block the sound, the voices they don't like. So the platform, they have to follow the government's policy. So yeah, indeed, they also abet the United States social norm. So all this reason, Facebook and other social media try to try to speak out to convince the US government to stop this company. Anyway, we know that if you want to establish your barrier, think about the government power. You know, sometimes you can lobby your government to establish some barriers. And today we see Facebook and other social medias, they try this. Okay, yeah. So that is another ways you can establish the barriers. And finally, this video is too lengthy. Okay, so let's skip this one. Okay, anyway, we know that we care about the factors that can make the existing player make money. Also, that factors can become the barrier to stop the entrance. And if you are the new entrance, you all try to break the existing barriers. You want to use the new rules to enter the field to make money. Okay, so that's the reason why we always try to check the 1 and 2 simultaneously. Okay, so when we examine the overall competition, you're better to check those technology innovation, advertisement, marketing campaign that can build the barrier, and that can also differentiate the competitors. Okay, so we quickly introduce several factors here. Okay. Okay, and finally, we run out of time to talk about the case. Okay, on the factory BST, you know, there is a hidden link. You can check the link. Okay, check a link. Check a link. Here, you move slowly to here. Finally, and you see there is a command, right? And then you see there is a link. Do you see that? Do you see that? Okay, okay, you can click here. All right. And you'll find there's the news. Okay. The case you studied last week is real. Okay, it's a real case. It's a real case. And the BST, this company, its real name is SIS. It says. Okay, so in 2000, in year 2000, SIS, this fabless company, established their fab, and here are the reasons they believe they should build the lab. What's the result? Okay, that is the result. They failed. Okay, they totally failed. They totally failed, and they didn't deliver high quality chips, and also the high capital burden make their IC business fall into big trouble. So eventually they have to find a way to keep survive. And one of the largest foundry, UMC said, yeah, you're now in trouble, so the best solution is to sell your business to me. Okay, so finally the foundry company UMC acquired SIS. All right, so that is the real story. That's the real story. Again, go back to this real story, and this story just highlight very important thing, several important things. What's the in what situation the company should pursue integration? You know, SIS here. SIS. Okay. Here. This company here. Okay. Their top managers, their CEO gave us many good reasons to do the integration, right? And somehow these reasons, some of them make sense, some are not, right? Some make sense, some not. Some do not make any sense. But anyway, we try to know in what situation SIS should achieve integration. Okay? Although not all of these reasons make sense, but we know that they really need some solutions to solve their current short of the capacity support situation, right? They must have some solution. All right. So one solution is integration. Definitely, that is integration. If we have our fab, when we have our own factory, we can solve the short of the capacity issue. That is the one. But do we have other ways to deal with our current situation? Okay. So far, many things did not give us the solutions. You just said, yeah, they should not do that, or they should do it, right? But you don't give us the solutions. So next time, we first will examine the factors that will let firms think about the integration. Okay, that is the first topic we will do. And the second is, let's think about the solution that can solve this bad situation, right? They don't have the capacity, how to solve the issue. All right, so we don't have time to talk about this case today, so I will put it later in the next week. We will talk the case first. And next time, we will have the case study, and I will assign the exercise to you later. The first thing we have to do is this one. There is a discussion. Okay, the title is 下班要上课啊？我们下班难道不用上课吗？应该还是要上课吧。How do you choose running shoes? Okay, it's a survey. It's a survey. So just take a few minutes to give me your answers. Actually, opinions, not the answers. Just take a few minutes to fulfill this questionnaire. Right, so you can see the questions here not very difficult. Just put some words. For example, do you ever heard of breaking two? Do you know this? Oh yes, yeah, I like marathon. So if you want to join me, welcome. Every Friday from 6 to 8 o'clock, we will have the group training. So if you want to run marathon, let me know. Okay. All right, and running shoes market, try to define this market, okay, and what are the factors that will influence your choose when you purchasing running shoes? Okay, so it's a very short questionnaire. Just try to finish this. And okay, there will be a case study, and it's team assignment. So every team every team have to submit your write-up, and I give you discussion questions here. Okay, so you just check this case. ASICS 2020 Vision. Do you know this brand? Oh yes. If you wrong, you will definitely know this brand. Okay. Yep. So next time we will have this case study, and so the two things: first is finish the questionnaire, and the second one is read the case and finish the write-up. Okay. And use this case, I will let you go through the running shoes market and understand the competition among these different players. And today I think this market is still very good, although now we have the virus issues. But after that, I believe the market will be good. You know, this year I plan go to the Tokyo, but you know, goddamn virus. Okay, it cancelled. You know, that is not easy to get a chance go to run Tokyo marathon. Goddamn virus. Okay, anyway, that is a task we have to do this week. All right. So I'm sorry for very limited time to discuss the case. Next week we have the BST, and we have the case study. See you next week. And if you have a question, you can stay here. Okay. Thank you very much.